Welcome to the Experience More Tour. My name is Marshall, and today we are here with LifeStraw, and we're going to be looking into a little bit about what LifeStraw is as a brand, and then exploring some of their products, and then diving into maintenance. I think there's some tips and tricks maybe you've never heard of that Aaron can share with us today. So let's get into it, and let's bring up Aaron Cups. I'm going to call you a man of many hats at LifeStraw,
Yeah,
although you have an official title. What is that title?
sure thing. Nice to see you again. Hey, everybody. My name's Aaron. I am the National Account Manager for Outdoor here at LifeStraw. So essentially what that means, I work with your buyers, your sales reps to make sure they get the right assortments, advise them on that, and help provide you guys with support, everything from training to resources and things like this.
In addition to that, right, and helping to sell in products, in addition to helping with training, you travel the world as well with LifeStraw, helping with some of the humanitarian efforts that are out there. Is that a normal thing at LifeStraw for somebody to be able to kind of do a little bit of everything and see the whole company?
Yeah, it is actually. We're kind of that's like maybe two parts. So I'll do it quickly. One is we're kind of a smaller company, so everybody has to make sure that they are pitching in across the board. So you may be doing a number of different things. So a lot of our staff get to see um, the business from various perspectives and also contribute. So everybody works on like product ideation and brings in all those different points of view. And the second one I talked about is like the travel and involvement with some of the good works that we do. And in that case, yeah, like the whole company meets annually in Kenya to work on our Give Back program. It's an opportunity for all of us to come together and really see the impact of the work that we do and the impact of our customers on the lives of people that we aim to help.
And I want to explore that further, but let's begin by kind of looking at a little bit of a history of LifeStraw. You came from that background of getting out there and solving problems in public health.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can see here, the company was really started in 1994, and it was born out of public health work that was going on in Western Kenya. The Carter Center, if you guys are familiar with the Carter Center down in Atlanta, they have a number of global health initiatives. And they approached our founder about helping out with uh, guinea worm eradication. If you're unfamiliar with guinea worm, it is that nasty parasite that can try and work its way out of your body. If you've ever seen something where somebody's got a worm and they're pulling it out like with a stick, slowly turning it every day, it's a very painful and debilitating disease from a parasite that lives in the water. And our team had worked on a very simple straw. This is a mesh straw designed to remove the larvae from drinking water, and these are distributed to individuals in places where guinea worm is still endemic. A lot of that work is done in sub-Saharan Africa. But the good news is when we started working with the Carter Center, there were hundreds of thousands of cases. And at this point, as of last year, there was a total of 24 cases around the world. So there's been a dramatic drop in guinea worm infestation. And the goal is that by 2027, we will totally eliminate it. And the life straw, guinea worm straw is still in circulation and plays a big role in the eradication of guinea worm.
So that is an initial product and just incredible
Mm.
work there, right? Like it's not normal to eradicate things like that. It takes a
No.
lot of effort and a lot of dedication, and it's really neat that you were able to develop a technology that didn't require batteries or frequent doctor
Mm.
visits, right? This is something that was easily distributable, doesn't break, intuitive to use, and
Yeah.
you've taken that idea and moved it forward for us.
Yeah, I think that the idea that was born out of that really kind of is what led to our first product that was really distributed more broadly, and that is you can see in the picture the blue version. This is a see-through version that you can kind of see the membranes on the inside. But that's simple, easy to use. You don't have to have a lot of technology. It's portable, it's lightweight, and you really, I mean, if you already know how to use a straw, you know how to use one of our filters, right? So it's super basic, but out of that first draw came our first membrane, hollow fiber membrane filter, and these are super effective, but born out of that same idea of public health, that access, because this is a product we developed before we ever started selling it. This was a product that hit the market as a humanitarian and emergency response product before it started up as a commercial project.
Um, right? So being able to take that, kind of get it out there in the world, almost as that humanitarian thing, and then
Hmm,
I think you realized you were onto something, right? And
that's right.
it was now it's time to launch a brand and share this technology for us as consumers.
Yeah, you can see that, it was, whether that about 7 years before we really launched into retail and we started selling these through retailers. So some of y'all may work at outfitters, somebody like REI, for example, who was an early adopter of the straw at the retail level. That's where we started really growing that. And, one of the foundations kind of jumping all the way that you can see at the 2021 is we're a B corporation, right? So when we started in the retail, it was still with a strong bent and emphasis on making sure that we were using our business to do good. It's an idea of humanitarian entrepreneurism, I think, is the term that's often thrown around. So not just a for-profit company, but a for-benefit company. We like to make money. I like to get paid, but at the end of the day, like a big part of our mission is still that public health and giving back. And you can see that 2014, the Give Back program started. And in addition to creating what we think are world-class filters, the best on the market, for every product sold, it helps fund safe water for a year for a kid in need. And this is a big part of our impact. And this comes from, it's all funded through customer purchases. So every time somebody buys a straw, a filter, a bottle, it helps fund this work. And since inception in 2014, we're at almost 12 million kids impacted. And that's in addition to a number of other programs that we do, but this is a huge part of the work. And so when you said, like, being able to go overseas and help with projects, I've been to Kenya now 3 times, where we've done these big campaigns, but we also have a full-time staff in Kenya. About half of LifeStraw's total staff count is in Kenya then, and they work on ongoing training, maintenance, expansion of the programs, and they're there every day to make sure that this isn't just a donation and walk away, and once a year we go back just to check. It's an ongoing work and a 5-year commitment to schools.
I mean, that's right. You've been in this business a long time. You understand that you can't just drop
Mhm.
something off and come back in a year and expect it to still be hot, right? It'll probably be dusty in the corner and unused, right?
That's
So
right.
this is really, not only do you bring the technology, you fully support it, and you've gone, like you said. What's your experience going there? Like, what? I mean, here you are in the upper left, or somebody is. I didn't know
Yeah.
if that's you or not. But like
Yeah,
filling
that's
up
me.
water,
That's
right?
me. Yeah.
That's you.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your
Yeah.
experience there?
It's amazing to be able to make a difference in kids' lives. So just to kind of walk you through the couple of pictures here. Um, in the upper left-hand corner, this is us fetching water at a local watering hole. This was across the street from a school, maybe a couple hundred, 300, 400, 500 meters from the school. So it wasn't that far of a walk, but the condition of the water was some of the worst that I'd seen. A lot of animals grazing nearby. There was an open pit quarry. So it was full of silt and dirt, animal feces, just everything that you would not want to have in your drinking water was in that water. And the kids were taking this. This was the water that the kids fetched and the community fetched from. So the picture right underneath is a picture of our community large scale purifier. So this will take just about any fresh water out there. Actually, we'll take any fresh water out there and get rid of the bacteria, the parasites, the amoebas, as well as that turbidity that's in the water, all that quarry dust and runoff, and it'll make it into pure, clean drinking water. It's safe, clean drinking water. And that center photo, you can see this is one of my colleagues, Julie. Julie is a Kenyan staff that lives in Western Kenya in the community that we are serving. And she's training the prefects, the students who are going to be in charge of the daily maintenance, and the teachers and the local sort of school board PTA members who help advocate for their schools. These are the folks that do the real work on a day-to-day basis. And the idea is that, to provide them with safe water. And that last photo there is another one of my colleagues, Joshua. You can see in addition to teaching about how to care for it, we also talk about hygiene and sanitation. And what we're doing there is Joshua is using one of the children to help show like confidence in the filters, that they work, that they're safe, and how to use clean water for things like personal hygiene. So it's a busy and really impactful week to be able to know that we're making an impact. And I love sharing this with you guys because you guys as outfitters play in a really, really important role in helping expand this work. As our sales grow, we help more and more people every year. And so we measure our impact not just on our bottom line, but also on the lives that we help out.
All right, so for each product sold, you get basically a kid gets access to clean drinking water for a year.
Yeah.
And this really is a huge impact, right? Not only
Mhm.
sort of globally, but it also can be local, right? You've been
Mhm.
able to deploy in the U.S. as needed.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been a number of natural disasters where we've done response, everything from tornadoes in Kentucky to the fires in Maui last year. And then unfortunately in 2024, the devastating flooding that happened in Western North Carolina. Our team, you can see members of our team here. These are just folks, this is like our marketing coordinator and, one of our product managers. They headed down to North Carolina. We got the call on Saturday morning that people were being impacted. And by Thursday, we had staff on the ground working with partners, working in distribution centers, working on training local community members on how to roll out purifiers to people who really didn't have them, that were in a very desperate situation. So yeah, being a B Corp means that not only do we have to meet high levels of standards around social and environmental responsibility, sustainability, but we also put at our heart responding where it's in our wheelhouse to do the right thing. And in this case, we knew it was the right thing, that we had a product that would benefit the folks there. So we donated about $200,000 of water filters. And then didn't just drop them off. We had team members go down there, and the guy pouring the water there, his name is Vito. He was there for a couple of weeks on the ground, up in the morning in convoys driving up into the mountains to distribute products. So yeah, it's near and dear to our heart. And if any of y'all are from that area and were impacted, thanks for staying strong. I hope you're doing well.
Aaron, so much here, right? So first
Yeah.
of all, I love that you can do this. You can go out and do that. $200,000 in product. I don't even know how much in people's time dedicated to this, right? If you were a different corporation where you had to make money and you had to really, the bottom line was everything, you couldn't afford to do this. And the fact that LifeStraw is a B Corp, the fact that you came from this humanitarian background really reflects. I think when we go shop and spend dollars in with certain brands, I think it's how we can help out to some extent and what we choose to do. I think the looking for that B Corp symbol specifically, and then also even more specific is just LifeStraw seems like they're doing the right thing. And I
Yeah, we
appreciate
try.
you sharing all this, right? And here's where I want to kind of get into, well, okay, that's cool and I love it, right? It makes me feel great. It makes you, and you're doing great work.
Mm.
But I'm also going to use your products when I'm out there in the field. So how can I trust that these products work? And
Yeah.
I want to see the technology a little bit, right? And we even have a question from the audience around like, can you get down to that purification level with viruses using this
Mhm.
technology?
Yeah. So this is something I think that you guys who are outfitting customers is you'll hear is like, how do I know that this is going to keep me safe other than, word of mouth? And I think there's a couple of things I would like to point out. One would be the technology that we use. So we use a hollow fiber membrane. So long extruded hollow fibers with thousands and thousands of micropores. And these micropores are zero point 0.2 micron in our standard filters. So the ones that you'll see for like our backpacking and camping filters or portable stuff. These are small enough to block 99.99999% of bacteria and parasites. So super effective. And the reason we go with this technology is that it's good until the last drop. Whatever the variation of water coming into that filter, the efficacy is consistent going out, right? So it doesn't matter about the age of the filter, if it's more or less, if you have access to electricity, the amount of pressure you apply to the filter process. It's consistent efficacy on the way out. So it's super reliable. And we've gone with this because really all that stuff I just talked about, like our filters are tested in like the harshest conditions that you can imagine. So cholera outbreaks, earthquakes, floods. These are places where we've developed these products to work, and we put that same level of technology and quality into the outdoor stuff. So it doesn't just get isolated into like that emergency response. It goes into the water bottle that you can use at work, or on your next holiday. And I think that that combination of really digging in on the most reliable, most effective um, technology and that real world testing is a good testament to why somebody could trust our product. That if they've never used a water filter and they're nervous about it, this may lower their nervousness, and kind of open up a whole new window to enjoy the outdoors or their travels.
Hmm. Yeah, and there's these different levels, right? So no chemical purifier
Mm.
needed in this particular system, which is nice because it's like you said, it's fail safe. It's good to the last drop. So if you are
That's
going
right.
to invest in one that's the ultra filtration, maybe you need that because you're going someplace where you're afraid of like norovirus outbreak or something like
Mhm,
that.
mhm.
It's gonna work as long as you're getting water through. And I love that that fail safe is in there.
Yeah, and you know what? It's also good immediately. One of the downsides to like chemical filtration, for example, is that you have to wait anywhere from 5 to 30 minutes, depending on what you're trying to remove out of the water. And with
Yeah.
filtration, it's immediate. As soon as that water, there's no period. As soon as I, filter this out, I'm good to go. And but the ultrafiltration, the purifier, we do have outdoor products that have purification. In fact, some of your stores may carry the gravity purifier, and you don't need any chemicals. And this will be the ideal solution for somebody, say on an expedition, or if they are living in an area where, as you said, norovirus is known to be a waterborne contaminant. But yeah, it's not something that we need on a regular basis. For most of us in North America, we're worried about things like Giardia, Cryptosporidium. Um, what is the other one that somebody, Legionnaire's disease, things like that. And they're easily filtered out by our standard membrane filter. And you don't necessarily need to worry about viruses. If you do, you can use a chlorine tablet in conjunction. And follow those directions. But for the most part, microfiltration is enough.
That really is going to work for mostly what we're doing in the outdoors and
Yeah,
what our customers are
yeah,
up to. And then there's this third one here, activated carbon. This is selectively used in LifeStraw products to help out with what we see there in those heavy metals, taste, chemicals, things
hmm
like that, right?
yeah, absolutely. So like our Go series bottles, they have a small carbon element to them, and carbon is how we reduce chemical contamination in the water. In the case of something like this is inside the filter housing. These are replaceable about every 2 months or so, and these are going to help drop or lower your instances of chlorine, and some of the other chemical contaminants. And then launching this year for the outdoor line is going to be our carbon filter for the outdoors. So it's an add-on modular piece that you can screw onto one of our membrane filters, and then that can go on to just about any of our outdoor products. And what this will do is give you a two-stage filter process. I'm trying to get the right view here.
Yeah.
Two-stage filter process. Stage one is your membrane microfilter for your pathogens and waterborne illness, and then a carbon filter here that will reduce your heavy metal and chemical contaminants in water. So immediate needs, and gives you relief against long-term exposure to those contaminants. So this is new, but again, we're trying to expand that access to safe water by innovating on new products and listening to customers about what they need at where they're at.
And this is where we get into the usability, right? Like you said, that's modular, right? It's well thought out. It retrofits into things that you currently have, and all of your products, I think they're just ingeniously thought out. The way they all kind of work together. We're separate, right? And you get to
Mhm.
pick and choose. Once you invest in the ecosystem, it's a pretty nice feeling, right? And even the products themselves feel very nice in my hand, right? They feel quality. Is that how are you bringing that about?
Yeah, I think that, we want people to feel confident in their products. And I think the better design they are, the more they're going to feel confident. But we really do take design as an important thing to how we do it. So you'll find with something like this, like our Solo series, it's small, it's ultra light. But when you compare it to some other things in the market, you're going to find that The plastic feels a little bit nicer. The fitment is great. There's a modular piece, like you said. So if you wanted to use this with another one of our products, it should go together. But it's just being really intentional about the look and the feel and the performance in the field. It's how we approach all of our products from the outdoor to the home is to not just differentiate them on their capabilities, but differentiate them on their user experience, I think, as well.
So it has this really nice feel. I like the colors. And so the Peak Solo, this has all of the technology we've talked about, right, in this tiny little package. It just doesn't come with a
That's
water
right.
bottle because some people have their own water bottles already.
Yeah, yeah. I think anybody who's outfitted a backpacker in the last few years knows that um, this trend towards lighter weight, more portable is super welcome and awesome, right? Like 20 years ago, it was all like, $100 pump filters. They were big, they were cumbersome, they required a lot of effort. We've gotten to a point now where for 30 bucks, you have this really lightweight, low resource intense filter that is as effective as anything that was around 20 years ago that took a lot more effort. But this is an ideal solution for backpackers, hikers, um, and even travelers because all you need is a water bottle, something like this smart water bottle, but you can also use like a Coke bottle if you're traveling overseas. You don't know what water bottle to use. Coke bottles are almost everywhere in the world. That threads right on top here, and then I'm going to bring my camera down a little bit. You can see just by applying some force behind it, you have a super strong flow rate. This is going to be up to 3 liters a minute. So you get a plenty of action to fill other vessels. So if you have a couple of these bottles you're backpacking with, or you're with somebody else, you have the ability to create, safe drinking water that quickly. Takes almost no time. And what a sea change over what was available, a few years ago when I started working in outdoor retail.
So that's the Solo, right? And that is your
Mhm.
standard kind of filter, right? Which is swappable into some of the other products, right? And I just want to highlight one more product until before we get into the maintenance part of this, because I think
Yeah.
this is something that we could really help customers with. And this is the Squeeze, right? This is kind of the go-to for trail runners, for lightweight backpackers, something maybe where you
Mhm.
do want the squeeze bottle, something that compresses a little better than like a Coke bottle.
Yeah, absolutely. For your person that's like a looking for that a versatile piece, something like the squeeze system is awesome. It comes in a 1 liter and a 650 liter version. And these have you talked about the look and the feel. What I love about this bag is about 2 to 3 times thicker than a lot of the other competitors' bags, which makes it way more durable. So when you really have to crank on it, you're less likely to have seam splits or failure points on it. I'm not super gentle with my personal gear. I will often just fold it up and stick it in my pocket when I'm mountain biking or hiking. Um, and this just allows me to take it whether I'm hiking or backpacking or mountain biking or kayaking. This is so versatile, and this is probably your best seller. If you sell our products after the standard straw that a lot of people know, this is usually the thing where customers like, that makes sense. I do a lot of stuff. I don't want to carry a lot of water, and I need to just be able to refill on the go. And the fact that you can also set the filter up on the outside,
Mhm.
or like this one where it's on the inside, you can kind of see here the hard piece there, that you have a different setups for different needs. Again, goes back to just being intentional and versatile and how we approach our products. And I saw somebody asked about taste issues. Listen, this is a TPU bag, just like you have your Camelbacks and your Hydro packs and your Osprey reservoirs. Some people can be sensitive to it. There are ways to take care of it that will reduce that, which are pretty easy. Water, baking soda, and lemon juice, for example, will help easily reduce that taste impact and give a better user experience. But we do work hard to make sure that we are curing the product to reduce, curing that product at the right temperature for the right duration to keep that taste impact as low as possible.
Mhm. No, good question and thoughtful answer. So thank you for that. Yeah, it's great, and I love that I can use it trail running, right, or I keep it inside there because I'm just drinking like a
Hmm.
straw. And then when I do go backpacking with my family and I want something really light, boop, it goes to the outside, and now I can squeeze water into other people's water bottles and things like that.
Yeah.
It's great having that versatility. Now, I was kind of a rookie. I've since learned at the end of the season, I took that and I let the whole thing dry out. And then when I went to use it again, the flow rate was not great. So let's begin with kind of like drying out, right? How do we want to store these pieces?
Yeah, so ideally, sorry, I'm creating a little bit of water in a bottle here.
Yeah.
So the ideally you don't want it to dry out all the way. What happens is you have like these really small holes in those membranes, and when they dry, they can start to shrink up and close. And when they get so dried out that they no longer want to reopen, you'll have flow rate issues. You may have it clog up. So ideally, what we want to do is keep it hydrated, but keeping it hydrated could lead to the risk of possibly unwanted growths. So what we recommend is I'm gonna pantomime a little here, but you take a vessel, put clean water in it. I don't have here, but you put a teaspoon of salt and mix it up. So you make a salt water solution. Then you can take your filter, submerge it in that salt water solution, seal it up, and put it on your shelf for later storage. The salt water will keep unwanted growths. So if there were any nasties stuck in that filter, it's going to keep mold from growing and make sure it's ready to go whenever you want, and it keeps it hydrated. So it's a little different, a little counterintuitive. Sounds like a lot, but again, as fast as I was able to do it while I was talking to you, it's pretty easy operation, and it'll make sure it lasts for the next time you want to take it out, and reduces the amount of treatments we have to do on the membrane. And our goal with sustainability would be that, you don't buy it for one season of hiking, but it will last you for a long time.
Right? I mean, you should get up to 500 gallons on each one. And, again, this is only if you're storing it 3 months, 4 months, right? If you're using it
Right.
every month, don't just keep it filled with water and you're good to go.
Keep it
And
going.
don't let it dry out. Now, you gave me a trip, you gave me a tip last time that
Yeah.
in that one that I let dry out, and I was experiencing low flow rates, is to actually I use the backwash filter, and I got a thing of mouthwash, which I
Hmm.
have like a fluoride thing that I use. And I was able to suck that into there and hold it in there for a little bit, and then did a couple backwash rinse cycles. And lo and behold, and I just did this yesterday. The flow
Oh,
rate
did
was
you?
back. It was great. So it
It's
worked.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand the science, but a little bit of an astringent liquid like mouthwash, or even, maybe a shot of whiskey or vodka will actually help rehydrate it. But the mouthwash is probably it'll probably make it taste a little bit like mouthwash,
It has a
but
little
that's
minty
better
taste
than
for a
like,
while here. Yeah.
but it will bring it back to life. Again, I wish I understood the science, but I don't. And he was talking about the backwash feature. So all of our products come with, or all of our outdoor products will come with this straw, this syringe that laces onto the top of the straw, and you simply, pull a little bit of water up inside of it. You can see it filling there, and then backwash it that way. And as you were saying, if this was, say, that mouthwash mixture, I could pull it up and just let it sit for a couple of minutes, and then wash it out and then rinse it. So yeah, easy care. It's a good little hack. We're working on making that a more formal on the website update.
Yeah.
So when you send your customers to lifestraw.com, they'll have more clear directions on that, and not just tribal knowledge from
Right. You got to
the in the
test it. You got
know.
to make sure it
Yeah,
is truly reliable, not just a fluke.
that's true.
Um,
100%. The way
right.
we operate, everything's got to be tested and verified and
Right.
independently verified, so that we have faith when we put it on that it is the right solution.
Well, Aaron, I appreciate you running through the products, the sort of giving us some background on LifeStraw. I think that may helps us maybe make decisions on what we want to recommend for products based on really supporting this brand, how the brand supports the world, and then looking through some of the technical features of some of these great products. I think this is a lot that we can share with customers. The products do come with a lot of that information in them, right? You just sent me a gravity filter,
Yep.
and it's all in
Yeah.
there, right? If you people are
All the
curious.
information is in here on the back, so you can walk your customer through some of the basics.
So let's wrap up with just kind of three sort of top topics that you want us to kind of pull away from what we talked about today.
Yeah, I think the first would be just, that idea that um, we are a B Corp with a public health background. So we
Yeah.
take our impact side of our business serious. And, on two fronts. One, I hope that helps instill more confidence in you and your customers. as well as understand that as a differentiator, if they want to do good with their dollar, LifeStraw is a great option because it does have a real world impact. I think that's a really vital piece. Um, I think the other thing that I would like you guys to leave with today is, our products are designed very intentionally. They are different than the other things. Sometimes in a clamshell packaging or in a box, it's hard to know, but we do choose premium materials for a great user experience, and we listen to the customer. So a lot of our product designs, whether it's the solo or the thickness on the bag and the squeeze, is based on what we heard from customers through our last line of products. Um, and I think lastly, this idea, well, I guess the first two are kind of, I combined two of them, which is the background of a public health and a B Corp. So I'll put those three out there.
Put it out there, yeah, and that's really some reasons to get behind LifeStraw as a brand, and we're excited to be able to have you with the Experience More tour, and Aaron, and thank you for your time today discussing all this with us. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. I love outfitting, and it's always a joy to help everybody, take it that next step. So thank you, Marshall. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we love your perspective, Aaron. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.